NFL Weekly Throwdown, Week 11. Let's go. NFL Week 11, ladies and gentlemen, we are winning all year. We're going to put up some stats here in a minute. Vinny Blonde's on fire. He's been on for what, 2 or 3 straight weeks, bringing the heat, bringing the energy, bringing the wins. In the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've been kind of coasting it around even. We'll put up the season totals here in a minute, but let's wrap it up, Vinny. We're coming off a week where this is one of my 2 or 3 losing weeks of the season so far. Tough week. What are your thoughts on week 10? We saw a lot of upsets. We saw a lot of teams that we feel like are coming apart. What was your biggest takeaway?
Yeah, I feel like the biggest takeaway was that the 2 of the teams that didn't play in Kansas City and Philly just looked better.
Yes.
We hyped up Baltimore for 2 weeks on here, and they choked. Yeah. The Bengals.
What do you make of that? What do you make of that Baltimore game, man? It's crazy.
Yeah, there's just a lot of teams. I mean, Dallas did what we thought they would do against the Giants. They didn't really prove anything. The Bills fell apart. Like that was bad. So
appreciate the commenters. The commenters, a lot of negative comments. I mean, that's what commenters do, is they go negative. I saw a couple of positive comments about how you and I both kind of came down about the Bills are coming apart, and then they absolutely did, and it's ugly. Now the offensive coordinator's fired. And there's a lot more to come. You got Stephon Diggs, making blasts at Josh Allen or his brother. I mean, it's ugly. Buffalo's coming apart. That little fun, I hesitate to say, it looked like a pseudo dynasty starting up there a couple years ago, to be honest. And now it's a mess.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want any part of that.
Yeah, like I just feel, I mean, San Francisco bounced back nicely. Jacksonville clearly is not in the league that we were hoping to see them jump up. I was
high on them too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that was another game that, I mean, we said, like, I feel like we'll know by the first quarter how this game's gonna go, and like we did. I mean, that game was over 6 minutes in.
Yeah, man.
So it's just like some of those teams just didn't look great, and some of these other teams, like a lot of teams, are like in that middle of the road, and I feel like there's only a couple teams that have a chance to really separate themselves from the pack at this point.
Yeah, it seems like there's like 5 or 6 on the top, 5 or 6 on the bottom, and then the other 20 to 25 teams are all in the same boat. And it gets kind of messy there. So let's take a look at our year-to-date. Vinny's been on, is this your 3rd or 4th week? I don't know, Vinny, but he's got 20 results so far.
Yeah, I think this is the third week.
So at a 65% clip, folks, and if you're looking at spreads, 83%, 5 out of 6. Above 500 on the wins losses, plus 530. That's based on if you're betting $100 a game or $100 a bet. I myself am at plus 280, 71 and 62 on the year. So hanging on, baby. And I went 5-7 last week. It was a losing week, like I said. But we're going to turn that around. I feel pretty good about this week. I feel like we're starting to truly understand who's sending it as far as writing themselves off for the year. I think we kind of know that story now. So let's jump into it. We have a 14 game card here. 13.
I believe so.
Thursday night football, starting off with a good one. And this is, you just mentioned them, the Ravens. I had them on cloud 9, baby. I had them at number 1 of my power rankings last week, going into the week. And I took some shit for it. Of course, after the loss, I took some shit for it. But listen, man, Baltimore, I still believe in them. You're going to have some sloppy games. It's the NFL. Where'd you come out on this one? Because these are 2 teams that need this win, baby. The AFC is no joke, and these are 2 of the teams that we expect to see in the playoffs. Where are we at on this one? First of all, it's negative. Ravens -4. I have them at 3.5 or whatever, and then 46.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a must-win game for Cincinnati over it being a must-win game for Baltimore. I think if Cincinnati doesn't win this game, I think they are in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, what a surprise too.
Yep, and especially since their issue right now is that the other 2 teams in the division, Pittsburgh and Cleveland, play each other. So one of those teams is going to end up as a 7-win team by the end of the weekend.
Yep.
if Cincinnati doesn't win this game, like you're 2 back with only less than half the season to go. Not great.
Who would have thought? By the way, sidebar: Pittsburgh 6-3 is a shock to me. I mean, that team is, and they're ugly.
Yep, they're ugly. They just keep winning.
Yep.
I think the over is going to hit in this game. I think this is going to be one of those games that's going to be decided by kind of like last week with the Ravens. It's going to be just a game that's decided very late in the game. Both offenses are more than capable of putting up 25, 30 points each. I think this game goes over the 46, and that's just really my only play here. I think you can go either way. I don't know if I'd really trust Cincinnati at that only, I think when I looked earlier it was plus 3.5. Maybe.
I don't trust them either. In fact, my bet is a medium confidence. I'm on the Ravens. Minus the 3.5. I think they win by about a touchdown here, folks. And here's why. Again, these two teams need to win. Baltimore, I think, is in a position to take control of the AFC that I thought they were going into this week. They lost to Cleveland, who's a respectable opponent. It's not like they lost to a dumpster fire. They lost to Cleveland, but it was at home. They have to win this, man. I mean, this is like kind of, I won't say do or die for them. They'll still be 7-4 if they did lose. But, man, the whole AFC pulling in tight against Baltimore if they don't win this one. And Cincinnati coming off a loss, too. I don't know. It's a great game. Very interesting Thursday night compared to the last few Thursday night footballs, which have been toilets. This is a good one. And it's got playoff implications all over it. I will take Baltimore, but tread lightly. And you're saying you like the over a little bit, right?
I like the over. I mean, for betting purposes, if I'm going, if I actually use this game, I'm going to use Cincinnati because of the odds. I just tough game here. I just think it's going to. Yep.
Two teams that are capable of being good. That came off
two teams with a ton of talent. Yep.
Speaking of two teams that aren't great, New York Giants, the worst team in the NFL, arguably. We got 2 or 3. We'll talk about them as we go. Washington Commanders 4-6 at Washington, and this spread looks like it is 10. Washington at 4-6 with a 10-point spread, and you can't even fault Vegas for doing it either. That's the crazy part. Over under is 38. I have a green light play here, folks. But Vinny, I want to hear your opinion first because this is
I'm taking the Giants with this spread. I would take the Giants at plus 10, and I would play the over here. Neither defense is great. I feel like you're going to get points are going to go on the board. It's a division game though, and the Giants they got embarrassed against Dallas, but they still scored 17. So I feel like
even with Danny DeVito out here from
right, they still scored 17 against Dallas, who's much better than Washington. You're gonna get if they score 17 against Washington, and Washington covers this, that means Washington's gonna score 27. So your over is gonna hit.
You just read my notes, dude. That's right. Exactly what I have. If the G-men can score 14 or somewhere in that neighborhood, Washington might cover this on their own. I mean, they might score 30. It might be I have this thing at 27-18 type, like a 45-point game. I'm way over on here. That's why it's a green light overplay. We agree on that. So I do not like I don't like the spread at all. I think the spread's about right. 9.5, 10, whatever you got it at. So you would take the Giants to cover here and the over?
Yep, I would take the Giants and the over. I'm sure this is one of those games where the 9.5 for the Giants to cover against a division opponent just seems a little too juicy not to play. And I know that they got steamrolled by Dallas last week, but
Washington seems like it likes to be in dramatic games too. It seems like every game they're in is just desperation throws and field goals and everything else. So let's move along. Here's a game. Here's a good story. The Raiders is turning into a kind of a good story. I mean, 3 weeks ago, we're laughing at them. And, maybe you still can. They're 5-5 now, though. I mean, there's nothing to laugh at 5-5 in the NFL. That means they have a shot to make the playoffs. They're going into Miami. Miami early on looked like one of the best teams in the league. We have the spread here on the sheet at -12. On my card here, it's 11.5. I don't know what you have it at, Vinny.
I have 11.5 as well.
And I have 47.5, whereas this sheet has 49. So
I had 46.5 when I looked earlier.
this is dropping, and probably here's why. I'll just go ahead and say it. I like the under, but not significantly. I love the Raiders here. Love the Raiders. If you're going to get 11.5 or 12, and I don't think the Raiders are going to win. Don't get me wrong, but kind of like what I just said on the Commanders, it seems like the Dolphins like to play down to their competition lately. And I don't know, maybe this is a 70-point game for the Dolphins again, like they've done in the past, but they haven't done that in a while. That seems like decades ago that they did that. And I don't know, the Raiders, kind of a good story, rallying around Pierce, rallying around the blood transfusion that happened at the Raiders. I don't know. I like the Raiders covering the spread. The Dolphins are going to win, but what do you think?
This is I'm not touching this game. I think this is going to go. I feel like this game is going to go like it could either be the Raiders play fantastic ball against Miami and like it goes down to the wire, or Miami could just blow them out. And at 11.5, 12-point spread, I'm just not touching it. And it also could be like we could see a Raiders team that only puts up 6 points, or we see the Raiders team that puts up 30. So I just can't touch this one. I think there's too many other games that I can confidently play. Whereas this is, I feel like it's it's too close for me.
Here's a shocker, baby. This is my second of only 3 green light games. I like the Raiders that much. I think the Raiders are going to cover. I have this game at 25-20. I have the Dolphins winning this by 5 or 6, not by 12. It's a little much. The Dolphins are, I don't know, they're struggling. But like you said, would I really be surprised if it goes a different way? No, but I think this is a good in this card. It's a good place to reach a little bit. So let's go on. Tennessee Titans 3-6 going into Jacksonville. Jacksonville coming off just a terrible loss. Just when you get behind the Trevor Lawrence show, and I was all in, baby. I had them ranked like 3rd on my power rankings last week.
Yeah,
and what a huge letdown. And you can say the same thing about Baltimore, but this is the NFL, folks. You just have to be somewhat consistent. This game, I'm going to tell you straight up, Vinny, I have no bets. I don't want to bet this game at all. But you tell me where you're at with this, because we have this at 6.5 and 40.5, right? Somewhere in that territory.
Yeah. I would take the over here.
Okay.
I think Jacksonville bounces back after just getting embarrassed by San Francisco.
Man, you
and I same with Tennessee. I think both of them just have a much better offensive game plan. Both defenses are middle of the road. I feel like there's no reason this can't be like a 24-21 type of game here. So I think both teams are capable of putting up 20.
Yeah, I have it at 21-17, 21-18 type thing. So
yeah.
Too close to Vegas. I'm not betting that one, but quick one there. Let's move along. Arizona Cardinals 2-8. Kyler's back. That has to move the needle some. But going into what is the biggest story in the NFL so far, the Houston Texans, CJ Stroud going legend, rookie of the year locked up, mumblings of MVP chatter, which who knows? We'll see. It's early, but he's been awesome. 4.5. Texans minus 4.5 on the road. I'm sorry, at home. 47.5. What do you have this at?
I have 47.5.
Yep. Where'd you come out on this one?
I mean, I would stick with. I think Houston. I think he's the real deal right now. Until proven otherwise, I don't see. I'm not going against him. I would take Houston here. I would take the over as well. Neither team really has a defense. Both teams can score. Kyler's going to be able to put up points against this defense. Second game back, I think Arizona's going to put up points. Houston's just impressive. The kid just keeps finding ways to win games for that team. So I would take the over, even though it's pretty high.
I agree. I'm going Houston. I take Houston to cover the spread. I don't necessarily like the over. I think that's about right, but I do like Houston to win and cover the 4.5 or 5 or 4, whatever you got it at. I think Houston wins by about 10 here. Moving along. Los Angeles Chargers coming off of a brutal loss, and this team and Buffalo, I feel like, are the two teams that had a lot of hype coming in. And I will tell you, I never believed in the Chargers. I never believed in slow Justin Herbert, who's really developed into. He's really proved himself to be a slow, mentally challenged person. At Green Bay, 3-6, two terrible teams. Where'd you come out on this one?
I like the I had Chargers at -3 when I looked earlier. I like the Chargers at -3, and I also like the under here. Green Bay is just bad, and I don't think. I feel like there's a chance that this game ends up being like 28-6 or something like that. The Chargers aren't fantastic, but Green Bay's not able to
score at least. At least the Chargers can score.
Right, they can score, but I don't know if they're going to score in Lambeau. I don't know if they're going to put up. I don't think they're going to put up like 35 points in Lambeau. But I also don't think Green Bay can score. So I on principle I just went under on this because I think this is going to be like 28-6 or like 28-12 or something like that. I don't think this is going to be a shootout type game. And I had 43.5 earlier as the over under. So
that's what I have now too.
Yeah, I don't think they hit. I would go under, but I think the Chargers cover.
I actually had this game. My tool brought it out at 21-21. I mean, it's like pretty deadlocked to me. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers beat them up a little bit. But for that reason, I'm not. And the over-under 21-21 matches the over-under too close. The spreads match up. This is not a game. There's no interest in this game. There's no playoff implications. Neither one of these teams are doing anything this year. And there's no reason to bet this, folks, unless you are just either a fan of one of these teams or degenerate. Chicago Bears at 3-7, who are showing a little bit of life lately. The Tyson Bagent, what do you want to call it? The regime are coming into Detroit, who's rolling, folks. And we talked about it. I mentioned this for a reason. We talked about Baltimore and who's the other team? Miami Dolphins. A couple of teams that you just want to see a little consistency out of. The Lions have been one of the most consistent teams outside of that Baltimore. They got beat up by Baltimore. Outside of that game, they've been one of the most consistent teams in the NFL. And that is scary to say as a lifelong Lions fan. They are legitimately good. And they are hosting the Bears. And this is a 10-point and 47, although I think it's 46.5 now. Where did you come out on this one and why?
I think the Lions cover 10 points. Bears team sucks. Plain and simple. They suck.
They're bad.
They suck. I mean, the Lions seem to have finally taken the training wheels off of Gibbs, and with him and Montgomery as a 1-2 punch, and then you throw play action to St. Brown. The Lions
looks ridiculous. He looks like the best receiver in the league right now.
Yep, I think they cover 10 points against this Bears team. I mean, I guess you could argue it's a division game, so it should be close. But I think the Lions make a statement here at home against the division rival.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? I'm just gonna say it. My analytics tool has this a little bit closer, more like an 8-point, like 28-20, 27-17 type game. I'm not betting this. I am not. I don't bet on emotions. I'm too emotional about the Lions. You forced me into it. I mean, I'm going to recommend betting the Bears to cover, but I don't believe they will. I just wouldn't bet this game at all. The over/under I think is nailed. I had it at 46.5.
Yeah, I'm not touching the over/under because I feel like this is
game, man. This is
the Bears. The Bears offense is just too unpredictable. One week they put up 20, the next week they put up 10. It's like you can't So I'd staying away from the over/under here. But
the Lions give up points too. It's not. I mean, I like their defense a little bit, but they do give up. They just gave up 38 to the Chargers, who are suspect.
But at least I would take the Chargers over the Bears.
Oh yeah. They're gonna play. They should hammer the Bears at home. Yep. Let's move. 6-3 Steelers, and I say this every week. This team is not good, but every week they just win. And I think they were 3-2 at one point, and I was saying they're a fraud at 3-2. I said they were a fraud at 5-3. I'm going to still say they're a fraud at 6-3, but I think this is a Tomlin team, man. A tough just fundamental team. They're going into Cleveland, and the spread is -4 Cleveland at home and 37 or 37.5, depending on where you're playing. What do you have here?
I had a 36.5. This was one of those games I was borderline because like I feel like the over should hit, but I'm not touching this one. These are two teams that like I feel like this could be like a 12-9 game with just field goals.
And the Steelers, dude, I would have said the Steelers were going to lose. I thought they'd be 3-6 right now, to be honest.
Really,
or maybe like 4 and 5. Not terrible.
Yeah, they've had a pretty light schedule. Cleveland just put up 33 on the Ravens. So it's not like this Cleveland team can't score points. I just think it's I think this is one of those games that like if you really need a game to play, use the over, but I'm not I can't touch it. I think there's too many other games that are probably that I think I can hit more than I could hit this over here.
I like with medium confidence. I like Cleveland to cover, and I like the over. But I'm going to tell you, here's the thing. The massage rapist, Deshaun Watson, if he could just get back to half of what he was talent-wise.
He's not.
I know he doesn't look good. I've watched a lot of their games. He's still got that lazy, slow delivery, but he is. I don't understand it. He's not old. He's still in his prime. I don't know what's holding him back.
You miss a full year. You miss a full year of playing in this league, and like it's a lot. Like he missed what? Like he missed over 20 games total.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, but if he can just click, if he can slowly start clicking back,
if
just
he
take
can,
that like 1% at a time, because he's so good. His potential is so high. His ceiling's so high.
It is. I did see though earlier, Nick Chubb kind of teased that he might not be done for the season.
Wow.
So that would be.
I like this Browns team. I root for as a Lions fan. The Browns are kind of the AFC version of the Lions.
They're a fun team. Yeah. I mean, they went all in on Watson, but they put pieces around him. The defense is
they're solid. Their defense is incredible.
Pretty good. They're pretty good. Coaching's great. I feel like if Watson could play like he used to,
just play good. Right. Like just be Goff. Just be Goff. You don't have to be the standout. Just play well and don't cost your team the game. I like the Browns. I'm rooting for them. I really do think they're like the AFC Lions, like a historically bad franchise, but they have they got good pieces around, in spite of, like, a lot of people will say that Watson signing was the worst thing ever. As a person who watched a lot of Clemson football here in South Carolina, he's really good. I know I'm not a big fan of his with the massage whatever that is.
Yeah,
that's for another time, but he's good. Let's go. The Dallas Cowboys going into who is undoubtedly the worst team. I thought it was the Patriots, maybe the Giants, but it's the Panthers. They're 1-8. This is, in last week we talked about it with the Cowboys. What was the spread? 16.5 or something, and I said I can't do it with my right mind.
Yeah.
I stayed off the game, and Dallas blew them out by what, like 30 or something. And we all I think we talked about it. We know they can win by 30 that game, and they did. And they should.
I'm taking the same thing here. I think the Cowboys cover. I think the over hits. Like this is the Panthers are just pathetic right now. This is just they're just.
You know what, dude? I feel sorry for Bryce Young.
I kind of do.
And it's hard to feel sorry for a guy who's the number one pick overall who's getting $30 million or whatever dollars.
Right. It's like I kind of.
He's going to go down. He's at the point now. We're talking. We're talking. I mean, another season of this, and we're talking Jawalrus Russell purple drink shit.
They better hope that some of these free agents want to play with him next year, because I mean, like they can't go another season with. I mean, I think they knew this season was going to be some growing pains.
Yeah,
but
of course.
And I love Adam Thielen.
You're not even seeing flashes though.
Right. I mean, like I love Adam Thielen. Great,
fine.
He's solid receiver. You can't
go
another
guys, journeyman.
You can't go another season with him as your number one target. You gotta bring in a big.
And if you watch any of their games, and that's a local team to me, so I've seen enough coverage of them. And they talk about him like he's he's still. They talk about him like he's Christian McCaffrey here or something. It's like, no,
he can still ball. He can still ball.
He's fine, but I mean, he'd be the Lions' like fourth receiver,
right? Well, that's what he is, though. He's a number he's like a solid like number 3 option. He is
fine
by no means.
But they're trying to make him the one.
Well,
they have no choice. Else.
Right. So they have to hope that they can sign somebody in free agency. But this
what's
just
sick about Carolina too? They mortgaged their future on Bryce, and so they don't even have a first round pick next year.
No, they don't. That's what I mean. They better
hope
this
franchise
somebody wants this. Yeah.
Just effed. Just effed.
And I think
in Dallas, I won't take the spread with Dallas, but I love the over, dude. And obviously, mostly because I think Dallas could hang the 41 by themselves.
I think they will. If that last, the Dallas has too many young players. I think, like even their backup running back.
Yeah, they put the backups in and they're hungry, so they're still going to score.
Right, exactly. And this is what they do. They beat up on bad teams, and they're going to beat up on a very bad team. I would be.
Yep. And Dallas needs the win. It's going to be the NFC is real tight between. There's about six or seven teams in the NFC that have a shot here, and Dallas is one of them. So they're going to go in there to beat the shit out of Carolina. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets out of control. Tampa Bay 4-5 into San Francisco, who you mentioned a little while ago with a huge bounce back game, and I got absolutely crucified because I think it was last week coming off of 3 straight losses. I still had them, I think, 5th in my power rankings, and people are like, "How can you do that with the team that's lost 3 in a row?" Real easy, because I mean, dude, they are that good. I still will say this at 6-3, the best roster in the NFL.
Oh yeah, I mean, their defense has got future. Their defense is like a future Hall of Fame defense. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and then they added to it. Yeah, in the trade deadline, huge.
This is another game. I think the over hits. I think I had the spread at 10.5. I think San Francisco covers this. I think that the Bucs haven't looked fantastic lately. I think San Francisco's kind of in that like middle of the season stride now that they seem to hit every year. They beat up.
How is the NFC South looking? Tampa, Atlanta, Carolina's clearly out.
And the
New
Saints.
Orleans, they're all
awful. It's the worst. It's the worst division in football. It's so not.
Tampa's alive though, man.
But they're
going to lose to San Francisco.
Right, they're going to be alive no matter how they play in this game. But like, I mean that.
I have them losing by a touchdown here.
I think they just get beat up. I think Tennessee was Jacksonville was a much better team than the Bucs, and they couldn't Lawrence couldn't do anything. I don't see where Baker is going to be able to do anything against this defense.
No, it's a matter of defenses locking each other up a little bit, and I think Tampa could keep it close. Again, that's a medium confidence. Over under wise, I don't like it at all. I think Vegas has it about right. Probably, I have it at 24-18 type game, 24-15, something like that.
Yeah,
so I don't like this game a lot, but
yeah, I'm taking the over. I think San Francisco at least hangs 30 on them.
I love it.
Yeah,
the Niners, when they're gelling, the Niners are the best team in the NFL.
Yep, exactly. And I think that bye week came at the right time, and I think they're back for at least a few weeks.
Speaking of some teams coming apart, we talked about Buffalo earlier. I don't want to harp on them too bad, folks. I don't like to kick a kid while they're down, but this team is kind of fun to kick while they're down. They're firing their offensive coordinator this week. They're 5-5, -7 at home against the Jets. I'm going to make a statement right now, and I hope the commenters go crazy on this one. The Coug Hunter, the MILF Hunter, Zach Wilson is playing better football right now than Josh Allen. Josh Allen, the Bills it's over. They need to break it up. Josh Allen's clearly a freak talent. -7 and 41 over under, I think is where we have it. Give or take a half a point. Where did you come out on this one?
I'm not touching this game. I think Buffalo should win, right? They should win.
I don't know.
I don't know. Like
I have a 23-16. I have no bets here either for me.
Yeah,
no
the Jets looked awful last week. The Bills can't hold on to the ball.
How could you bet this game? If you bet this game, you're sick. Yeah, or you're like a homer betting your home team or whatever.
No, they looked. I mean, again, kind of like last week with Denver. The Jets have a pretty good secondary. Like Diggs is probably going to get locked up. Allen's going to struggle to find anybody else. He's going to probably throw a pick or two. He'll probably fumble. He might lose it. He might not. The run game's in shambles.
I will bet you this, dude. If there was a bet you could make that this game finishes within 3 points, I would bet that.
Yeah,
because I guarantee it's going to be high drama. Both quarterbacks are going to gag and choke 13 different times throughout the game because both defenses are decent.
Yeah.
And you got the two biggest gag jobbers in the whole league with the MILF Hunter and Josh Allen. Josh Allen's to that point now, folks. And I was huge on him 2 years ago. I thought he was I wouldn't say I didn't think he was amongst the all-time greats, but I was getting there with him. Like talent-wise, he's a freak show.
Talent-wise, he's great. The issue
he's
is
not even. He's honestly, I said it last week, and you can take it as a joke if you want. Jared Goff for the Lions, who's my team, I would take Jared Goff over him all day, every day right now. Yeah, at least Goff is level-headed.
Yep.
He's an NFL quarterback. He doesn't lose his mind. He doesn't make stupid mistakes. He doesn't act like a preschool kid. He doesn't look like a deer in the headlights in the sidelines. Josh Allen has all those problems. And now you got freaking Stephon Diggs, and maybe Stephon Diggs is a pile of shit for doing what he does, and he has been in the past.
Yeah, exactly. Diggs has been the same.
Yep,
Diggs has been the same way.
To his former team.
Yep, he did the same way. If Diggs gets the ball, Diggs is happy. When Diggs doesn't get the ball, he's not happy. He doesn't really care.
You know these guys.
Even if they
Odell
win,
those
though,
guys can F off.
Right. But even when they win early in the season, they won the one game, and like Diggs only had like 2 catches, and like he was like pissed off after a win. Online. Like,
you know what reminds me of Antonio Brown, like these guys.
He just doesn't seem like
cancer.
Yep.
Buffalo needs a blood transfusion, folks.
You
know what the Raiders did? They cleaned house.
If the Bills miss the playoffs this year, they are going to clean house.
There's no way they're going to make it. Dude, they're not going to make it. I hope they don't. I think it'll be fun to watch that thing come apart. McDermott sucks. He's firing a scapegoat.
Yeah, agreed. He
Josh Allen, I like Josh Allen. I'm not even like, I hate to sound like I'm really throwing him under the bus because I think he's obviously got potential. In the right situation, dude, throw him on like the Vikings or the Lions, or throw him on. I don't know.
He needs an offensive coordinator who's gonna who's gonna call plays for him that protect
him.
Tell
him to stay in the goddamn pocket. Quit trying to be Christian Okoye out there smashing helmets.
Crazy.
Stupid.
It's absolutely crazy.
Let's move before I lose my temper on this one. Seattle Seahawks 6-3. This is another team, man. What are we doing here? Jekyll and Hyde team going into the Rams, who I don't think Stafford's back, is he?
I have no idea if Stafford's back or not.
I don't think it really even matters that much, to be honest, because I think Stafford is sending it. This is his he hasn't said it yet, but he's going to retire. He's going to go off into the sunset with his $100 million and Super Bowl ring. Congratulations, by the way. I'm a huge Stafford fan as a Lions fan, but Seattle coming in here, and I would love to just say this is an easy bet for Seattle because they're a playoff team and the Rams aren't. But, dude, I come out with this game at, you ready for it? 22-21. The Rams are going to win this game outright. And I don't know, the spread's 1, right?
Yeah, this was another game I couldn't touch.
Yeah, Vegas has it. It's rare that you hit the exact number of Vegas. And I have 44 for the over/under. They have 46. There's no betting here. This game, you got a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's one. I feel like you're better off playing one of these teams to cover than you are playing just the money line. Like if you think Seattle's gonna win, you gotta hope that they're gonna win by at least a field goal. If you think the Rams are gonna win, you play the spread rather than play them money line to win. That would be my only, because you're just gonna get better odds. That'd be my only thing. But
Seattle's like they're 6-3. I think they're a legit playoff team. They're good, but man,
they're not a threat though.
They're not great.
Yeah,
they're above average. How's that?
Yep.
All right, let's move. Sunday Night Football. And 2 weeks ago, I would have told you this game is nonsense, unwatchable, stupid, and I wouldn't watch it for $1 million. But now, look at what we got here, folks. 6-4, Minnesota with the Josh Dobbs story. And we have old weird Russell rejuvenating the Denver
dude.
Broncos back, baby. I mean, this is playoff implications here. Who would have thought this?
I mean, for
I hate
one
both.
team,
I hate
for
both
one
these
team it is.
beyond
For
belief.
one team it is.
You don't think Denver could get there? They're
No.
running.
They're terrible. They're still bad.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
They're still bad. I'm taking Minnesota here. I think Minnesota covers. I think Minnesota is just a better team right now. I don't.
Denver -3.
Yeah, I can't believe that, honestly. Like, I know they beat Buffalo, but you could argue that Buffalo really choked that game away rather than Denver winning that game last night.
Yeah, I don't hold much clout to that game either.
Right.
But Minnesota, Vinny, listen, Minnesota 2 weeks ago, especially 3 weeks ago, we're talking number one pick, number one draft pick. Now we're going to sell out and lose 14 games or whatever.
They got Josh Dobbs.
The signing of the century, by the way.
Right.
What a dumb.
He's playing
good. How
good.
stupid is the NFL?
He's playing
Anybody
good.
who had any question about quarterbacks who did not sign Josh Dobbs, the idiot. Because that dude was playing for what we all knew was a shit Arizona Cardinals team.
He played his way into a contract, which is great.
Congratulate Josh Dobbs, hero of the season.
He could
him and
win
Stroud are the biggest stories in the league.
Yep, like he probably should win like most improved or whatever that award is.
I mean, he's biggest game changer.
You get Jefferson's supposed to play this week, so you get Justin Jefferson back. Which even if, Denver's got a good secondary, but if he's back, that just means Addison's probably going to continue playing great. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think Denver is equipped enough to continue what they've been doing. I think that win against Buffalo, even though we've been saying Buffalo's coming off the rails, they really still should have won that game despite how poorly they played. So I don't know. I can't trust Denver at -3. I'm gonna take Minnesota. I'm gonna take Minnesota and Minnesota to cover. As far as I'm not gonna touch the over/under. I think that could be. This is another game that I feel like could end like 15-18 or it could end like 31-34.
I have it at 24-23. Minnesota winning outright in Denver, and I do like Minnesota and the over, but. Yeah, dude, I don't believe in Denver. I think it's fiction here happening here. They're punching a kid who's down. They're kicking the fat kid on the mat, like at lunch break in middle school with Buffalo. The Broncos are not good. It's a bad team. I think Peyton might be whipping them into shape a little bit. I do believe in him a little bit. I hate Russell Wilson. Yeah, probably my least favorite player in the whole NFL.
He's
I hate
another
that guy.
one.
He's a very creepy.
Between him, Kyler, and Deshaun, they have like ruined the quarterback market for some of these these next deals.
I mean, being
because like none of them. I mean, and like I'll even give Kyler like the benefit of the doubt right now that Arizona is a bad team, but like you can't sign you're. With the exception of like guy like Mahomes who like gets you to a Super Bowl and wins you a Super Bowl, like you're never going to see deals like that again for.
No, you're looking at Lions, a perfect example. Jared Goff's going to get asked for $50 million a year.
Yeah,
and Jared Goff, who is, and I think Jared Goff's worth it at this point. But a couple years ago, that guy was even last year was like, do we even?
I still remember when the Rams drafted Goff #1 overall. I still remember there was a guy next to me wearing a Rams jersey who was so excited that they drafted Goff. And I'm like, he is going to do nothing for you. This guy had turnover issues in college. It's going to turn over to the NFL. It did for the first, while he was in St. Louis, they were terrible. He was terrible. The defense was great and carried him to that one Super Bowl.
And Todd
But he wasn't good. And now he's great. Like now he's playing.
He's the quintessential professional. I love Goff.
And he's playing great. He
turned his career around. Like midseason last year, I still had my doubts on him. I'll say this, man. His teammates and everything, he's very professional. He's very level-headed, and he's
playing without
talent. Clearly, he's got the talent. He doesn't have any emotional issues.
Now. Right. He's playing without the pressure. I mean, he was drafted #1 overall, and then you had the best league defense, and you had a running back. Folks. Right. He had a running back.
Throwaway in that Stafford deal.
Right.
He really was.
Well, he's playing without pressure now, and he's being able to play like how he is. He's not getting, he's not getting ridiculed every
the Lions
second.
have 100 weapons around him.
great situation. It's a great situation
Just
for
like
him.
Dobbs coming into Minnesota compared to Arizona.
Yep.
Dobbs comes into Minnesota, and this is why I think they're dangerous. I mean, he's got weapons around him, even without JJ, who's coming back this week. Jefferson coming back, the best receiver in the league. I mean, look out for Minnesota. They scare me a little bit as a Lions fan. That they're gonna back themselves into the playoffs. Yep. They'll be there. Denver's not going to stand in their way with Old Weird Russell, who's going to make love story TikToks about Broncos country. Let's ride. That guy's so creepy. He probably has children locked up in his basement. Monday Night Football. This is awesome, folks. Philly 8-1. This is arguably the Super Bowl review and preview. I mean, nobody's going to sit here and tell me with a straight face they don't think this could legit be the Super Bowl again this year. I don't like Kansas City this year as much, but Philly going in there, and we have a 3-point spread and 46.5. I have it at. What do you have here?
I would love to take Philly at the 3-point spread. I really tried hard not to bet the Eagles just because they're my team, and I feel like I always get burned when I bet them. I would take the
record
Eagles
against the spread. They're pretty bad against the spread, right? They're winning close. They're winning close.
This is really their first like big test of the year. I know they lost to the Jets with that set. It was not great. The tough part about this is like the NFL made sure both these teams are coming in off a bye week. They're both fresh. They've both been able to game plan for like 2 weeks for each other. Like, this is going to be, I feel like the safe bet here is probably the under, just because defensively, I feel like the schemes are going to be so good for each other that they're going to, I feel like it's going to be too close to bet actually, but like, I could see this being like 24-21.
Dude, my numbers have this at 24-22.
Yeah.
Which is 46, which is exactly what Vegas
has.
And the spread is 3-2. There's no way you can bet. Here's my advice. This is what I have in my notes. Just sit back and enjoy the game. If you want to find a prop bet or two, something like that, you cannot bet this game and have any like confidence for real. I wouldn't be surprised if I guarantee you one thing. You're going to be at the 2-minute warning, the fourth quarter on Monday Night Football, and this motherfucker is going to come down to a field goal. I guarantee it.
And I don't know. I mean, like for prop bets, the only one I would really bet is see if Kelsey's over under on total receptions is like either 5.5 or 6.5. Like I would take his over because he's just gonna get 15 targets.
Taylor Swift's gonna be up in the booth. You know it's gonna be a fucking joke with that.
Oh, I hope she's not there. He plays better with her there. He plays so much better with her there. It's terrible.
It's embarrassing. I got a couple daughters that are just in love with Taylor Swift, and they know more about Travis Kelce now than I do. And I've been watching.
It's great. It's crazy.
He's one of the greatest. I have to explain to him. He's not famous because of Taylor Swift, you idiot. This guy's one of the best though, isn't it? It's crazy.
It's crazy though.
Yes, I know about Jason Kelce, his brother, who's also an all-time great. Like these guys are. I'm like, they're probably more famous. You can't say they're more famous than Taylor Swift, but they don't understand that. Like, I've been watching these guys for
football famous, right?
8 years,
right? They're great.
Kelsey's arguably definitely on the freaking Mount Rushmore of best tight ends ever. I don't like him. I don't like him at all.
It's gonna be whoever wins this game is immediately going to be your favorite. Like they're the leader of the clubhouse. Whoever wins
power rankings and all that shit.
And honestly, I think it's more of a must-win game for Philly.
KC. I think it's more for KC. Because KC drops to 7-3. They lose control.
Yeah, but like if they, I feel like though, like KC's end of the season schedule isn't particularly hard, and I know the Eagles isn't either. But Dallas is playing the same teams as Philly, so Dallas just keeps winning. Like I feel like Kansas City is not really in a position where they might not win their division. Like I feel like Kansas City is going to win that division.
You really believe Dallas could beat them?
I mean, if they lose, I'm not saying they can, but like they always play each other. They always play each other close, but they also are playing the same crap. Like the Eagles really haven't played anybody. So I mean,
to take some pressure off you about the Eagles and Dallas matchup. The Lions are going to get home field throughout anyway.
That's
Lions
like
going
that's fine.
13-4 minimum. Have you seen that schedule?
Yeah, it's right.
It's
The NFC is just not particularly
It's going to
strong.
come down to
But
Lions and Eagles. I
yeah,
don't think Dallas.
I just
and the Niners. The Niners schedule's
right.
tough.
Right. I just that's the one that I like for division purposes. Like I feel like the Eagles just need to keep winning because Dallas. I mean, Dallas plays Carolina this week. Like that's
The Eagles are the best team in the NFC. I mean, it's hard to argue.
I hope
Balance
so.
wise, they're good on both sides of the ball.
I still have my doubts.
The Lions are inconsistent as hell on defense, but their offense. I think the Lions have the best offense in the NFL.
Oh, I would agree.
Their defense is suspect though. They just gave up 38 to the slow adult Justin Herbert, who sucked. By the way, that was so great to watch him lose and him on the sidelines crying in a towel. Good.
Yeah.
I hate Justin Herbert. Anything else to close this out? What's your best bet of the week, Vinny? And this we don't count this against we won't count it against you as far as the records. We are full disclosure. We're putting our legit records up there on the screen.
I mean, it's nothing crazy. I think my best bet would be Dallas to cover their 10.5-point spread or whatever that is. I think they just absolutely humiliate Carolina.
I'm in the same game, but my best bet's going to be the over in that same game. It's 41.5, folks. Dallas is going to hang 41.5 themselves, probably.
Watch Dak throws 5 picks and we look.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. I think Dak's about the 17th best quarterback in the league right now.
Yeah.
And as I write down that list, somebody challenged me on that big time because I didn't put him in my top 10. And after, Cousins went down and a few other, Stafford's out, Rodgers was out from the beginning of the year. I'm like, shit, you almost have to put Dak like around 10.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's not good though, dude, to me. So
no, hasn't been good. It's been the best part of being an Eagles fan. It's been the best part of being an Eagles fan for the last 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
Jerry's just been investing in bad quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's great. As an Eagles fan, I can't imagine how great it feels to know that team is a failure because they'll never win a Super Bowl with Dak. He sucks. So it's got to be a good, comforting feeling. Vinny, let's close it out. Week 11. Bada boom, bada bing. We'll be back next week with more.